Hello, everybody. Look who's back. We have a Nick.
Me.
It's a Nick. He's returned from an island,
Yeah,
living off the land, helping
can't believe it's
birds.
been 3 months. It's gone so quickly, but it feels like forever ago I was last
Yeah,
here.
3 months. 3 months. Crazy. That's Nick front, not back. Yes, you're right, Birder Chris. It's Nick's
Can
front, not
rotate
back.
around, yeah.
Look who's front. It's cool. And welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining us after a week off. We had some technical issues last week, unfortunately, and we didn't manage to do anything. And I was away as well. So I'm Peckable. Hi, I'm Peckable. Yeah, cool. So, Nick, how are you? I haven't seen you in 3 months. We've talked a few times on
Ages.
WhatsApp, but other than that, that's it. How have you been?
Yeah. Skomer was amazing. Um, like a dream island. And time flew by. Like the first week slowly ticked in, and then it just rattled off. And before you know it, I was like, cool, like I'm leaving in a week. Um, but yeah, it is an amazing island. If you haven't been to Skomer, go visit Skomer. If you've already been to Skomer, go again. It's amazing.
Cool. What
Yeah,
what what was the
snapped
highlight
over
for you?
mountain.
Don't obviously don't talk about your wildlife encounters because we'll get to them. But what was the highlight for you over the 3 months?
Oh, so many people have said that, and I just can't find like a single answer.
Just say one.
Um,
Just say one thing that you're really excited about. Doesn't have to be the
oh,
best thing, doesn't it? Just one thing. Next
I think it's
volume
the
is a
fact
little.
that you just, oh, my little
No,
line.
it's okay. I'll turn you up.
Cool.
Keep
I think the
talking.
fact that you're just always surrounded by wildlife. Like as soon as I open my bedroom door, there's wildlife everywhere. I think that's just a really special thing. You just don't get that in many places, and it was a really, really cool just thing to experience. Like I come out my bedroom door and like or even like when you're sleeping you can hear manx shearwaters like right outside my bedroom window. I open the door, there's just like birds all across the courtyard. If you're at night there's just toads like everywhere. There's birds everywhere. Oh, it's just amazing.
So Kat would have loved it as well because she'd have been out looking for all the toads.
So many toads. I've never seen so many toads in like an area. You go like there's a regular walk we did, it was about 600 meters or so, and I got like over 200 toads,
Wow.
like regularly. And on like poor nights, that's when I was counting. It's like, oh, yeah, count tonight, one, two, three, 212 over a small stretch. They're just everywhere. It's amazing.
Cool. That's great then. So just an abundance of wildlife.
They're just everywhere.
Okay, so here's
So much
here's a
wildlife.
question for you. What was the species count?
Oh, I didn't do a species count, but that,
What?
oh, I didn't know. I just got carried away with just finding everything. I got really into my plants, just looking at plants everywhere because not many people have done that before. So I was finding plants, loads of insects, bugs, fungi, everything around. But it must have been the, God, it's really hard. 150, 200 maybe, just very ballpark figure of
Okay.
everything. Yeah.
Impeccable saying they're expecting a species count by
Oh,
next
God.
week.
Got to revise myself now.
Yes,
Go
yes.
back and
You've got to go
list it
back
all
and
down.
remember everything that you saw. And I want a species count. I want a good estimate of a species count by
Yeah,
next
I'll
week.
try and do that for next week.
That's good. Impeccable. That's great. And Catherine Westcott, hi Cat, is in chat as well. I hope you're feeling better, Cat. She's not feel. She's
Too
very
soon.
poorly at the moment. Very poorly. Poor cat. But it's fine. We are here. Cool. Right. Well, we might as well get on with some of your wildlife encounters then.
I might as well.
Come on.
I had to seriously restrain myself.
Let's do
It was
this.
hard.
Yeah. So just to give a
Yeah.
bit of context for that statement. Uh, a few months back, probably about 4 months ago, Nick put over 20 images onto our share folder for us to upload onto a stream. So much so, in fact, that my OBS crashed. So we kind of had to start limiting ourselves.
Toning it down a bit.
And then last week he was like, I'm going to struggle getting all to do it. I went, you can do it over 1 week, it's fine.
Yeah, so I might still be talking about Skomer several months from now.
That's
It's like, oh, here's
fine.
another thing
That's
I
fine.
found.
That'll be very cool.
Yeah, we'll start with what everyone knows Skomer for is the puffins.
Yay,
So
Puffins!
puffins were amazing. They're very cute, and it's amazing how close they get to you. Um, they like just stumble quite literally over your feet onto your legs if you're just sitting there. They're very curious birds, so they just come up to you, see what you're doing. They're also very social, so just groups would start just walking up to you, look at you, and then just all turn around and wander off in a different direction. Um, Very beautiful birds.
Yeah.
I'd only seen them like through the end of a spotoscope or like maybe through a camera lens, like a pretty decent view, but seeing them really close, just the details in the bill, just like the really stunning patterns in the feathers. They're very gorgeous birds.
Cool. I'll bring up another image because you've got a few of them.
Yes.
Here's the second one. This is my favourite one out of the two that you put on.
Hi, Thistleaxe.
It's the eye for me on this one.
No, I really love
Hey,
this one.
Thistle.
Only a few, yeah. Oh. Only a few. It was amazing to be so close to them that quite all these wildlife photographers came in like full camo and their lenses are like that big. And the birds are right in front
there.
of you. You just don't need them. So you just get really creative with the shots you get, and it's really nice just to be surrounded by them. And it's not like a zoo or a wildlife park or anything like that where they're contained around you. This is just their wild habitat. You've come into their place. Yeah, and they just do their thing around you, and you just get to be there and observe. And it's a very cool experience. So I think I was there early July, and the puffins left kind of first week of August. So I was there for a good month, or I was with them for a good month or so. And a lot of evenings, just have my dinner, then just go walk down to the puffin colony, just sit there and just be with them. It's really nice to just watch the species, like just a certain individual or just a colony as a whole, everything like that, and just see what they do. Follow one, like they just come in. There's some sand eels are going, and then another one kind of wanders because again they're really social. So lots of the ones you just see on the surface not really doing anything are the immatures. So they're only 2, 3, 4 years old. They're not old enough to breed, so they won't have their own burrow. They're just standing around learning from each other. So like one bird comes in with sand eels, shoots straight into a burrow, and then another one just comes over and just kind of looks straight down the burrow just to see what they're doing and learn. They're very goofy creatures. I'm sure everyone's seen kind of videos of them trying to walk around. They just look very goofy. It's very cool just to watch them, see that. And I have a video of them flying.
Okay.
Which would be nice to show.
This might be
yes.
quite loud.
Noisy seabirds incoming.
Here we go. I do love watching puffins fly though. I was at Bempton in May watching them fly. They're just spectacular.
Yeah, it's the thing with seabirds, so like puffins, fulmars, kittiwakes, guillemots, razors, all of them, you see them at their worst when they're on land.
Yeah.
Like they're not designed to be on land. They're only there because they have to rear their young. They want to be out at sea, flying, swimming, everything. So being able to watch them where they want to be just flying around it's just amazing. Yeah, so Skomer, I don't know where it ranks in like puffin colonies in the UK. I think it's it's pretty high up. I think like Shetlands or Faroes have quite high, but this year was 41,605 puffins that were counted back in March. And they're on the increase, which is really nice to see. So almost every seabird colony in general in the UK and most of the world is just having really stark declines, and the entire long-term trend is just downwards, which is really sad. But Skomer, for whatever reason, is doing really well. I think all their seabirds, apart from the fulmar, are increasing. Fulmars have kind of their own story. So before, like local fishers, like fishermen's, like fishing industries, their numbers are quite low. And then as soon as lots of fishing boats, small fishing boats, kind of just entering UK waters, and having lots of kind of offcuts just thrown out the back of the boat. These were perfect for the fulmar, so their populations just skyrocketed in the UK as a whole. So they came down from like Iceland, Scandinavia, and numbers really increased. And then now that like the small scale fishing has stopped, so there's not much of that offcuts being thrown off. We think that's why their numbers are starting to decline. So this is kind of France, UK. There's just quite a general trend of decreasing population of fulmar. Not too sure why, but we think it might be because they're just returning to a pre-fishing era population. But there's lots of research going on because it can be concerning if it just keeps on declining. But yes, the birds are doing very well on Skomer, which is really nice to see. Lots of research going on to see how they're doing, things like that. Do puffins face issues from the gulls on Skomer? Yeah, it's interesting that there's the gulls which they're kind of kleptoparasitic kind of thing, so they steal fish from the other birds. So the puffins, especially as they don't ingest and regurgitate their fish if they're young, they just hold it in their bill, which makes it very easy for a gull to come in, spook them, can just grab them, pull at them until they drop their fish and eat the fish. So they do that a lot. And there are some important gull colonies on Skomer. So you've got lesser blackbacks, greater blackbacks, herrings, and the K2X as well. So it's an important gull stronghold on there. So there's plenty of gulls there. And they do have, the gulls do kind of, not attack, they do steal from the puffins, which is all natural, but there's no, it's not too much as such. It's not affecting them in a bad way. It's quite interesting. We have a place on the island called the Neck, which there's no public paths. And we, as like the staff and volunteers and researchers, we don't go onto that part unless we have to for research purposes. So bird surveys, like bird research things with like the burrows and stuff, seal counts, but plant surveys, things like that. So that's left alone as much as possible, so we can study that area compared to, basically like the Wick. So if you know Skomer, the Wick is like the puffin place where if you search on Instagram, like puffin on Skomer, it would be most likely taken from the Wick. So there's loads of foot traffic there. So there's been lots of research going into what's the productivity, so how successful are the puffin chicks raised on the really touristy spot compared to that of no tourist at all, to see are tourists having a negative influence on the puffins at all. And it turns out they're not making any drastic difference. So their productivity is about the same on both parts of the island. And we think that the increased number of tourists, which could be occasionally spooking the puffins away from a burrow, maybe collapsing a burrow very rarely, or having that small level of disturbance, counteracts the gulls attacking the puffins to get their fish. So the humans are there, so the gulls aren't coming in to attack the puffins. So that side, the puffins are doing better. And then there's a human influence that kind of balances off. So where there are no humans, all the gulls are there, which can have the chance of catching the puffins' fish. So it balances out. But I wouldn't say they're facing issues from the gulls at all. It's quite a natural and expected process, and it's not a detrimental number of fish being eaten. But it's a good question because a lot of people see gulls as just evil birds at the seaside which steal your fish and chips. And they're doing pretty badly. Lots of rural gull populations are doing really badly. So I think it was a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, the Greater Black got added to the IUCN Red List, which is really sad to see. So the gulls are doing they're doing okay on Skomer. As a whole, in the UK, they're suffering quite a lot. It was really weird to see on Skomer, like human refuse to like rubbish, because you think of it as just lovely, pure, it's amazing, the wildlife's doing amazing. And then the gulls are flying over to the mainland with landfills and then bring all their rubbish back to their nests. So I was doing some diet surveys and I just came across like a whole toothbrush just right next to the nest. You think, poor bird that had to bring that all the way back from a landfill here. But yeah.
Hey, Barnacle.
Nice to see you too.
Will we show the cutest little thing ever?
Let's show the cute thing.
Let's show the cutest little thing ever. There we go.
I'm trying to think which cute thing you're showing because there are so many cute things.
Well, you've been talking about puffins. It's got to be a puffling.
Yeah, we'll go with a puffling. Baby puffin called a puffling, which the tourists absolutely love when I tell them. They're like, "Oh my god, that's so cute," and it's very cute. These are baby pufflings, and they take about 40 days from hatching to become an adult as such puffin, where they'll fledge. It's very floofy. Interestingly, with the manx shearwaters, which I'll talk about later, their chicks smell amazing. It's like a really nice, like earthy, almost herbally fragrant smell. Pufflings, they smell awful.
Yeah, it's because they're hiding down underground. That's what it is. But you'd think they smell earthy.
The manx shearwaters do that as well. Yeah,
I think they smell
so I'm not
earthy.
really sure why. There's like that slight earthy smell, but it's like, nah, it's not good. Not a huge fan of odor de puffling. But they are very cute. So I didn't do any like research or anything with the pufflings themselves. I got to go and watch and help just look at pufflings and get them out of burrows, which was very cute. And they're so tiny. Sometimes you can see them kind of scurry out their burrow ever so slightly. They're very easy prey for blackback gulls, ravens, things like that. So if you do see one, their parents or another adult just comes and shoves them quickly back in their burrow because they are very vulnerable. But they are very, very cute. Just tiny and fluffy.
Cool, right.
Yes,
what's
that's
next?
The puffins.
That's the exciting bit. Moving on to the next exciting bit.
I'll go for a plant. I'll go for the Portland spurge. This was one of my favorite botanical experiences around Skomer. So Skomer has a really strong population of Portland spurge, which is a pretty rare plant around the coast of the UK. So I spent one of the days doing Portland spurge survey on some parts of the island, which was really fun, just kind of clambering around the sides of cliffs carefully, looking for these tiny plants and just counting them when we could see them. But they're just a really gorgeous plant. Just really kind of bright red stems, kind of like highlights the edges of the leaves and really symmetrical, very pleasing to look at. The leaves are very nice ones.
I like the red edges to the fronds.
Yeah, Bipon expected to be similar. The spurges have quite a lot of variation. It's impressive. It does have a more spurge-like structure with like the flower stalks, these like kind of basal leaves. Yes, later more developed plants have that more, I don't know how to describe it, like quite nice and symmetric and like branching off and then kind of cut leaves as the flower heads. It's a very lovely plant to see.
Is it classified as an alpine? Would it be in that family?
I don't know, actually. Birch.
Does Barnacle Bob know? They're splayed out like a wee bouquet. Aye, a wee bouquet.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Growing in a wide range of coastal habitats, like cliffs, rocky slopes, steep maritime grasslands. Yeah, so
Yeah, it could be one of the
coastal
alpines then.
maritime species. Maybe. Barnacle does not know.
That's fine.
Yeah, so
They'll obviously prefer like really poor soil, thin
Yeah.
soil. Yeah.
Yeah, like exposed cliffs and things like that.
Specialist.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I got onto a really fun fungus that I had there, so a smut fungus. So I think I talked about this briefly before I left. The red campion anther smut fungus. So nice bright pink flowers for red campion, and the anthers in the middle would usually be kind of nice bright white if they're healthy. But in this case, they're kind of like a really dark browny, almost black, kind of smutty look. So smut from the German for dirt. So if you can like touch your finger against the anther, have a like smudge, like almost a bit like pen ink, I think just really fine dust. And these are infected anthers of the red campion. So it's a bit like a horticultural STI, where the anthers are affected by the fungus, and then pollinators, so like bees, moths, things like that, will kind of visit the flower to try and pollinate it, or to gain nectar things. But the pollination, and instead of kind of a healthy plant through pollination, it carries up all these like smut fungus spores, and then transfers it to the next flower, which gets infected. So it's really nice where you see one infected flower usually have like a little trail, and you can see where that bee or moth or hoverfly, whatever, just went between different flowers and infected flower heads. So this was really fun to see because I'd seen it here in North Wales in June or so, and then I'd seen it down at my parents' in Devon in July, and then I found it probably a dozen times on Skomer over the last 3 months, and it's really, really under-recorded. So there's only like a few dozen records around the place, but I found it kind of everywhere I was looking for it. So
Yeah, I
if
need
you
to.
do find it,
Yeah, I need to start looking for this because I see a lot of red campion. And
yeah,
until you talked about it, I'd never. Yeah, until you talked about it, I didn't even know it was there. I didn't even know what I was looking for. But yeah, I need to. Next summer, I think we should do a little. We should do a little survey next year
yeah,
ourselves, and actually, whenever we go, if we see campion, check it out, and if you see smut fungus, let's take a record of it and even a picture, and then we can talk about it.
yeah,
That'd be quite cool.
because it must be pretty common.
Yeah.
Because I found it quite easily, which is very nice. Did I notice any aphidy related species on it? It's a barnacle. Not that I could see. There'd be a few plants where I look at them because I thought it had the fungus, but it's actually just small aphids on the inside. But I don't think I could see any aphids with the fungus next to them, which might just be by chance. I don't think we've been related at all, but not that I noticed, sadly. But the exciting thing was that whilst doing some research for the red campion, there's also one called the bladder campion anthosmut, which infects sea campion. And being on an island, there's plenty of sea campion, and eventually some, which was very cool. So I think on like iNaturalist or something, there's only like 26 records globally, like NBN Atlas, zero records in the UK. and even more underrecorded
Yeah.
fungus. I found it a few. So yeah, smut funguses are a very fun and niche rabbit hole to go into. The fascinating biology and things to them. So that was a fun little deep dive I had on Skomer.
What
What's
next?
next?
You've got two more.
I'll go with the glowworm. That was.
Oh, I think you got three more. I forgot about that one.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Oh, I forgot about this.
glowworm.
How exciting is
This was
this?
this was really fun. There are a few places in North Wales, like a few other reserves, where you can see glowworms. I tried and I hadn't seen any, uh, and then I went to Scone and was like, "Oh, you got glowworms!" So I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So for a few nights, I go out, and then, yeah, I found glowworms, and it is such a surreal thing just seeing something in nature just lit up,
Yeah.
glowing, like it's someone left like a singular like Christmas tree light or like a tiny
It's
LED.
so bright, isn't it?
It really is.
You think it'd be really
Yeah,
dull and you've really got to look.
you walk alongside the path and you just like
There's
glaring
this
out the
little
side of
green
the bushes.
LED in the grass.
Yeah,
You're like, what? What's that?
he just goes like, "Oh, that's just a bug, just a bug lighting up." Um, so that was really cool to find. So this was about mid-July, so quite soon after I got there. I saw them quite a few times, which was really fun. And then I saw one only a few weeks ago. So that must have been like mid-September,
Not
which I thought
surprising.
would be way too late.
Yeah, I would thought that too,
It's
but
pretty cold. Yeah.
females looking for a
Yeah.
mate.
That was really cool to see. Just see them kind of like pulsating, they're glowing, dimming down, and then a few minutes later, like really brightens up. This is one of those things where you just have to see it in person to
Yeah.
appreciate just a light insect glowing. It's very cool. Whereabouts they found? Um, in terms of like on Skomer, it was just like on the side of the path. So Skomer is just covered in burrows. So the manx shearwaters, there's 750,000 adults there, and the puffins about 41,000. So there's just hundreds of thousands of burrows everywhere. So we mainly stick to just the paths because there are burrows like right on the side of the path, and the manx shearwaters especially, they aren't very good diggers, so they dig very shallow, very kind of deep down. So sometimes there's like a centimeter of dirt between the surface and the burrow itself, which makes it very, very fragile. So whenever anyone comes onto the island, tourists, like visitors, guests, anything, we always have to stick to the paths at all times. So it's very fragile off the paths. So we stick to the paths 90% of the time. And this is just walking along the path at night. And that time of year, it's just bracken covering most of the island. And these glowworms just kind of sometime like 10, 20 centimeters off the ground, 30, 40 centimeters on the side of the path, sitting there, kind of exposed because I could see them from the path, but sitting there, waving their tails in the night. It was very, very cool. Imagine having glowworms in burrows lighting for the puffling.
That'd be so
That'd be
cute.
so
You
cute.
see the little puffling sleeping away, going, shoo.
It's real. I feel it'd be a very cute, like picture to draw or something like nice
Yeah.
artwork. Little glowworm lighting up the little burrow. Yes, glowworms was an unexpected thing to find, but a very cool thing. What I'll go next? I'll go small mammals. Skomer voles. So Skomer has their own endemic subspecies of bank vole called the Skomer vole, which is only found on Skomer. It's the only place in the entire world where you can see them. They look a bit like a bank vole, but they're a bit chunkier and have a shorter tail, and they're just as adorable. Probably say more adorable because they're even chunkier, which is very cute. Not sure why they have a shorter tail, but the kind of extra chunkiness comes from the fact that their only predators on the island are from owls, kestrels, like birds. So bankfolds on the mainland we usually have things like foxes, stoats, ferrets, like lots of small mammals, like medium-sized mammals that will predate them, and most of like small mammals' tactics for that is just to run, so to flee from the predator. But on Skomer, we don't have any foxes, stoats, things like medium-sized mammals. So it's just the birds, and their main defense against birds is just freeze. So they can put on a bit more weight because they don't need to run; they just freeze in like a hunting situation. So a bit chunkier, and they're really cute. So we did some surveys late July. Some research came out, so we helped them put dozens and dozens of traps around, and then came kind of out at sunrise next morning. Got a little Skomer voles, and we weighed them, took like fur clippings of things. This, you got to handle them, and they're just so cute. And then also when we had events, so we had like some arts events, had some like young birders events. So we came here, and one of the kind of the attractions was small mammal handling, like Skomer vole handling, because it's really cool to be able to hold an animal and say this is the only place in the entire world where you get to hold a Skomer vole. It's a very cool thought. But they are adorable. So this is definitely the cutest picture I got, but they are very, very tiny and very cute. And the more docile than bank voles, for the reason I was mentioning earlier, where their tendency is to freeze, so they're not very skittish. So they're just going to sit in your hand, which is very cute. I shall end my part one of encounters with an owl, which is a very cool experience of a short-eared owl. So Skomer has 3 pairs that bred this year of short-eared owls, and they're the UK's owl which are most likely to sea hunt during the day, which is nice, which is very helpful for the tourists. A lot of the people came to see things like short-eared owls. So especially kind of overcast, quite dark days instead of like bright glaring sunshine was their kind of preferred situations. So you see them out a lot, which always feels a bit odd seeing an owl in the daylight, because I hadn't seen like short-eared, long-eared. I just kind of like barn and tawny owl, which was like, oh yeah, you just don't. Maybe at sunset if you're lucky, but it's usually kind of pretty dark and you see kind of flying across. So seeing owls middle of the day whilst having lunch, like, oh, there's a short-eared owl. Bit of an odd experience, but very cool to appreciate. So you usually see like 1, maybe 2 during the main season, but then a few weeks ago, I think it was about 2 weeks before, there was one night, and there's like peat auto migration as well. We had like one chasing a kestrel through some of the trees, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Then another one came in, 3 of them were scrapping, fighting, and then the kestrel left, and the 2 owls just. Another owl came in, and they all started squabbling with each other, and then another pair of owls. We had 5 short-eared owls, just all like calling, being territorial with each other, which is it's just insane. I'd never seen more than 2 owls at once, and you're seeing 5 was unbelievable. Yeah, it's very cool owls. Very beautiful owls as well. Just really lovely patterns on them. Lovely bright white face. Golden eyes. It's very nice.
I've never seen one. I might have to add short-eared owls to my bucket list for next year.
They're a worthy bird for the list. I'm not sure what habitats they prefer outside of Skomer. Because they nest in like crags and the rocks. So I'm not sure if that makes them like upland.
Yeah,
Moorland.
well, moorland. I was about to say moorland.
That makes
Moorland
sense.
and farmland. So you do see them on the east coast, Blacktop Sands had one. RSPB Blacktop Sands had them nearby this year. Yorkshire's normally quite good. Lincolnshire's normally quite good to see them, apparently. So not too far from where I am. Salt marsh in winter, such as that. Yes, Burger Chris. There's already something I want to pick your brain about that you posted on Discord today, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Bird Chris comes in here with his birds. Oh.
Male hen harriers there. Yeah. The colour of the eye gives away if you can see them during the day. So light yellow you can see during the day, not a golden rule, I think. Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, what you're saying before, Mark, is like when they look right at you, it is a very cool feeling. Yeah, just so agile in flight, and the head just kind of locks onto you as you fly past, and very cool experience. Like, oh my gosh, it looked at me. It's very cool. So yeah, that's all my encounters, and then I'll leave my special experiences for my wildlife.
Your super special one.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I want to hear about yours now.
Okay, yeah. Long-eared owls falls down a bit there. You can see them in the day, but as they roost. That's right, Brother Chris. I did see a long-eared owl this year during the day, but it was late at night. It was like back of 9, half 9, coming on to 10 o'clock. So just as the sun was about to set, that's when I saw it, but the light was still on it. So fast I didn't get my camera up in time. But there we go. Cool, right. So thank you for sharing that. I look forward to next week when we see part 2.
Yeah, there's so much more.
Give us an idea what we might be seeing / hearing.
Fun autumn migrants.
Ooh, so it's separated like that. Fun autumn migrants.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, I am going to talk about what I saw on my holiday now, and I'm going to split it over 2 weeks because, again, I saw quite a lot. I'm going to focus on one type of bird, and it is the corvids of the UK. So I was very lucky when I was away in Pembrokeshire last week. I managed to see 7 of our native 8 corvids. And get pictures of them as well, which is quite cool. So I'm going to start off with the largest, which is the raven. Here we go. Here's a raven on a post.
Love a raven.
So I'll talk a little bit about each of them separately. So the raven is a majestic species of rugged uplands, highly intelligent and steeped in mythology. It is the UK's largest crow. The size of a buzzard, the raven is a strong flyer, regularly performing tumbling aerobatics in flight. Its all-dark plumage, heavy bill, and diamond-shaped tail are distinctive, as it is harsh, evocative, cronk, cronk, cronk call. It does sound like a grunt. Paired birds are territorial and will chase away interlopers. The species feeds mainly on carrion. The raven is a relatively early breeder, laying 4 to 6 eggs from February to April. Following a decline and numbers contraction in this species ranged towards the west in the 20th century, the UK population has since risen again and the range has been extending eastwards once more. So I couldn't believe how many ravens I saw. I must have seen ravens every single day. And not just 1 or 2, there was 3, 4, 5 in some cases. It was fantastic. So this one was taken on the first day I was there, walking along the Pembrokeshire coast path, and literally just a few hundred meters from where I started, I went, oh, raven, click. It was great. Cool. So moving on to the next one. We shall go down in size. We will now move on to the carrion crow. There we go. There's a carrion crow. So this large, noisy, intelligent, inquisitive crow is widespread and familiar to many. Carrion crows are found throughout England and Wales and most of Scotland, apart from the far northwest, where this species is supplanted by its close relative, the hooded crow. That's the only species I did not see, because Again, you can only barnacle bum will see lots of hooded crows, I expect, but you don't really get them down here. On the island of Ireland, carrion crows occur only on the eastern fringes, while hooded crows are found throughout. In the areas where the two species overlap, including parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, and the Isle of Man, hybrids are found. In the UK, carrion crow numbers steadily rose from the early 1970s to the early 2000s, and have been fairly stable since. Carrion crow numbers are controlled in some areas. The species is on the UK Green List. The carrion crow's all-black plumage and bill sets it apart from the similar-sized hooded crow and rook. Unlike rooks, carrion crows are more likely to be solitary, and their call sounds more assertive. Carrion crows are omnivores, taking grains, invertebrates, eggs, chicks, carrion, and whatever else they can scavenge. They frequent almost all habitats, from uplands to gardens. Birds construct large nests, usually of twigs, and maintain a large breeding territory, producing one brood a year in the spring.
Cool.
Hoodies and ravens mostly, says Barnacle. Yeah, hooded are rare here. We have a hybrid hooded ex-carrion crow that lives in our town, as well as part leucistic crows now as well. Oh, that's pretty cool, Nathan.
That's pretty cool.
I know there is a chance for you to see all 8 species on Anglesey. All 8 species of corvid on Anglesey. Because there's a hooded crow that has been sighted there in Holyhead Harbour. So that was earlier this year. And I think it's been there for a few years. So there's a chance to see all of them. But there we go.
Cool. I would say it's a lovely picture as well.
Oh, thank you.
To be able to appreciate, I was just like patterns in the feathers, like tints of like bluish purple in the feathers. It's very nice.
Moving on to the rook. Here we go. So this really surprised me because it's not black, and I thought rooks were black. So it's actually blue, purple, and grey with a bit of black.
Almost starling-like.
Yeah, it is.
On the head.
It's crazy. This is a young rook. You can tell that by the feathers around its nose. So I think this is either its first winter it's going into, or it's just had its first year. I couldn't tell you which, but I think it was definitely a young, because when you see them older, the feathers around the nose go or disappear right back, so you can really see the skin of that area. So, rook. Of the 5 species of black crows found in the UK, the rook can be told by its cone-shaped head and bare-skinned face. The rook is a very sociable bird. It feeds in large garrulous flocks. Well, I've never seen that word before. Garrulous. In its favoured farmland habitat, seeking out a variety of seeds, roots, and soil invertebrates. Rooks are colonial nesters, building their nests within a metre or two of their neighbours. Once established, these rookeries can be found, can be enduring. Some are known to have been in use at the same site for over 100 years. The rook is a widespread and common bird found all across the UK. It is a resident species that has experienced population decline since about the early 2000s, particularly in Wales and Scotland. There we go.
Cool.
I quite like this one, and you can see the car park behind it as well. We sat down, so we were at White Sands Beach, and we sat down to have our lunch at a picnic table, and it ended up becoming The Birds, like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. We just got surrounded by rooks, all honking at us.
Your lunch is now ours.
Yeah, basically. And I was like, go away.
Just plenty of wildlife encounters.
Yeah. Cool. So moving on to the rarest.
Ooh.
It's the chuff.
Yay!
Look at the chuff. So slimmer and more acrobatic than most of the crow family, chuff can be found in western rocky landscapes from sea cliffs to the mountains of Ururi. Entirely black plumage in adults and juveniles, with a slim, slight down-curved bill in bright scarlet and red legs to match. Seen closely, the iris is also dark red in adults. Adults make a high-pitched choo call similar to that of the jackdaw, but distinctly two-syllabled. Juveniles make a somewhat hoarser chuff, which is probably why they're called chuffs. Breeds in coastal caves above the high water mark, quarry tunnels, and sometimes crevices in abandoned stone constructions. Adults can remain faithfully paired for multiple years. The chuff's breeding range is restricted to the far west of Cornwall, western and northern Wales, the Isle of Man, a small number of western Scottish islands, and the southern, western, and northern coasts of the island of Ireland.
I didn't realize it was that limited.
Yeah, so the only places I knew where you could definitely see them were Cornwall and Anglesey. Go to South Stack at Anglesey and you've got a really good chance. Yes, Barnacle Obama is very, very chuffed to see a chuff. This one was spotted. I spotted a small group of 5 or 6 on a coastal section that we went to, and it was called. Oh, what was it called? Was it Gwent? No, it wasn't Gwent. Munt. It was called Munt. MWNT. Munt. And a barman suggested we go there just because like you got a chance of seeing seals and stuff like that. I didn't see any seals. Well, that's not true. I did. I saw one in the water, but the chuff. I just went, oh, it's chuff, and I started taking lots of pictures. So there we go. Very cool. Moving on. We now move on to the magpie. Magpie. With their iridescent black and white plumage, long tail, and endless curiosity, magpies are among our most distinctive birds. They feature prominently in folklore and superstition throughout Europe. At least a third of the magpie's 45-centimetre length is a long, stiff tail. In drab light, they are largely black with the white flanks, belly, and wing patches. Their most distinctive call is a repetitive chack, 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 often made when the birds are agitated. Captive birds have been shown to be capable mimics. Magpies are common and widespread in most of Britain and Ireland, apart from the north and northwest of Scotland. They are scarce vagrants on a number of Scottish islands. They were formerly heavily persecuted throughout Britain, but their numbers grew through the late 20th century as this lessened. They're still controlled in many areas. So I didn't see a magpie until I moved to Glasgow in my mid-20s.
Wow.
So just to give you an idea, I never saw one.
I just find it really weird how it's like England, like the south of the UK, you used to have all these just classic birds which you'll always see everywhere.
Yeah.
And then like northern Scotland, you're like, there's no magpies there.
Yeah.
I find it really odd to think about.
So this one is, as you can see, it stood on a heifer's head.
Got a good view from the top.
Yeah. I was checking for like invertebrates and stuff in its hair and the fur, which was quite cool.
Bum says one landed in my auntie's garden. It was a penguin.
I thought it was a penguin.
Flew in from a storm. A moogpie. I like that.
Brilliant. Right, moving on. We're getting to the small ones now. 2 more to go. And we're moving on to the jackdaw. So large jackdaw flocks with their characteristic chack-chack calls can be an impressive sight when coming to roost on winter evenings. The jackdaw is a smart-looking bird with black plumage and a contrasting light grey nape. The eyes are piercing silver yellow in adults, but a stunning blue in young birds. So this one is probably an adult. This omnivorous species prefers open countryside in which to forage for food, but will nest in towns to take advantage of the warmth and cavities of chimneys. I'll tell you where I saw this one in a second. A resident species, the number of jackdaws breeding in the UK has increased sharply since the 1960s, although this trend is more stable in Wales and Northern Ireland. Numbers in winter are supplemented by birds visiting from Northern Europe. So I went to St David's Cathedral, and they have a massive flock of jackdaws.
Really?
There was so many of them, and they were like nesting in like the gatehouse and all this kind of stuff. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant to see.
That's good. I do love large jackdaw flocks.
Yeah.
It seems just like the sound of them is really cool.
And finally, onto the jay. Ta-da! There we go.
Love a jay.
A very colourful member of the crow family, jays are often mistaken for something more exotic from warmer climes. The pinkish plumage and striking blue and black barring on the wing make the jay stand out from its neighbours. It has a bounding flight where its white rump is an easy notice feature. Landing in a tree, the bird swoops up to the branch and then sits tight, making it surprisingly hard to see when perched. Its raspy call can be the best indicator of its presence. The Bird Atlas 2007-11 suggests that day distribution is constrained by woodland cover and climate. Recent surveys have shown the range of this species to be expanding to the north and west, particularly in Scotland and Ireland, although the fluctuating population numbers show no real trend up or down.
That's interesting.
So there we go. And there's the 7 corvids that I saw while I was in Wales.
What a good corvid holiday.
It was great. And they are great mimics, Pookie, you're right. If you hear a buzzard and you don't see a buzzard in the sky, it's quite possibly a jay mimicking a buzzard.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I've also heard stories at Sherwood. So there was a day where they had like a mountain bike race around Sherwood Forest, and there was a photographer who was like waiting around a corner for like the bikes to come round, like skid, like fast, leaning over, and he's wanting to get photographs of it. And like I talked to quite regularly at Sherwood was telling me a story of this day where he was hearing like the brakes of a mountain bike and the skidding sound, and he was watching the photographer who'd lift his camera quickly to get the shot, but no bike would come round the corner. And he was like, okay, puts his camera down. Same thing happens again, up he goes. What? And this goes on for about 5 or 10 minutes, apparently. And then the guy I was talking to went, I looked up in the tree above him, and there was a jay mimicking the noise of the bikes.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I like that story.
No, I didn't know they could meow like a cat, Pookie. That is very funky. I quite like to hear that.
They are madness. And cat's personal favourite.
Yeah. They are very cool.
Very cool bird.
They are very cool.
Sound cool, look cool.
What I also love about them is they're great distributors of acorns for growing oak trees, because they do the same as a squirrel. They hide they store acorns and nuts and stuff around the forest floor. But unlike a squirrel, so if you watch a squirrel take an acorn, it bites off the bottom. And the reason it does that is to try and stop it from sprouting. Okay. So when it buries it, it's not going to sprout, and then it gets the full goodness out of it. Whereas a jay doesn't do that. The jay just sticks it in the ground and then remembers where it's put it, and it'll come back in winter to then take that to eat it if it needs to. Obviously not needing to take them all, or forgetting where some of them are. And then an oak tree pops up.
I wonder why the jay doesn't try to stop it germinating. I like that. So that
I don't know. I don't know if it knows how to, or it's not that necessarily it doesn't know how to. It can't to do that because, like, obviously the squirrel could hold it in its hands and then bite off the top. Whereas a jay literally just takes the whole acorn down the throat in one go and consumes it in one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, beak sounds a bit annoying, but Chris says that makes a lot of sense. That's very cool, though. Who needs a lyrebird when we have jays at
Lyrebird when we have jays at home, yeah. Lyrebirds are crazy, though. Have you heard lyrebirds mimicking?
Oh, I'd love to hear one. Oh.
Obviously, never heard it in real life, but like when you watch something like one of the
Mm.
BBC David Attenborough shows, and there's a lyrebird in it, and it's like going from like mimic to mimic to mimic to mimic, one after the other, different things, including mobile phones, jackhammers. You know, you're like, what on earth? And it sounds just like it. You're like, well, that's just
Yeah, just being able to not
phenomenal.
just like bird call sounds and patterns. Like, no, no, no. Cool jackhammer sound. I like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Right. Shall we move on
In my
to
one.
your one now? You have to tell me which image you want
So
first.
I'll go with the adult.
You go for the adult. Okay.
Yeah. So Skomer is home to the world's largest population of manx shearwaters. And manx shearwaters everywhere on the island at night. They're just swarms of hundreds of thousands of them at night. I got to weigh their chicks. I got to handle loads of them. I absolutely love manxies. They're by far my favorite bird now. Um, I'm just obsessed with them. So I had to do my species highlight on a manx shearwater. Um, so yeah, manx shearwaters are called manxies by like birders and other people who know them and appreciate them a lot. Our scientific name is Puffinus puffinus, which can be very confusing because they're not a puffin. There's a long story where the manx shearwaters were originally called puffins, which comes from the Norse for black and white, I think. Just like
Okay.
black and white bird. And oh, what was it? And the manx shearwater had the name puffin. I think the meat, like, because they're just hunted and eaten a lot because they're just really easy to catch. They just stumble across the ground. So I think like the meat got the name puffin. And it's a really good story, and I cannot remember it. I think for whatever reason, what we know now as Puffin got the name Puffin, and the Manx Shearwater Puffin name kind of like died down. Um, but the Manx Shearwater has the scientific name Puffinus puffinus, which I think is a really good story if you do look it up if you're interested. Um, but yes, um, I do have a skull, so a warning for anyone who doesn't like looking at skulls for a reason. Yes, there will now be a skull. Ta-da!
That's bigger than I
So
expected.
yeah, it's like there's my hand kind of thing. They're pretty small birds, but yeah, like the skulls are quite large. On Skomer, if you have visited, then you'll know that there are puffin, manx shearwater carcasses littered across the entire island. It's not a concern or anything. It's not bird flu. It is because the manx shearwaters, their feet are set really far back on their body, which makes them very efficient for swimming and diving, things like that, but really bad at navigating on land. So they just kind of shuffle across the ground. They're really, really useless at that. So they're very vulnerable. So that's why they come in at nighttime. So you wouldn't see any during the day. They only come in under the cover of darkness because it's much safer from like gulls, ravens, things like that. But yes, I had a bit more. Oh yeah, that was going to talk about. So they're part of the Prosalariform tube noses family. So on the skull, hopefully you'll be able to see it. Where is it? Just like down here at the base, there is a hole in the nose. So birds like fulmars, storm petrels, shearwaters, albatrosses, all part of the tube nose family. And this tube excretes excess salt. So yeah, they have a very salty diet from lots of fish and things like that. So they excrete all the extra salt through their noses. So they're part of the tube nose family. The manx shrews themselves are really cool as they fly miles every year. So around like waters of the UK, Wales, like Skomer, Skocum, Ramsey, up in like North Wales, like Bard Island, and then lots in like Isle of Rum, Faroes, all these islands have large manx shearwater populations, and every single winter they fly all the way from here, all the way down to the seas of Argentina. And some do that in as little as 11 days.
Wow.
I just find mind blowing. Go basically the other side of the world in like a week and a half.
I need to figure out how fast they're flying.
But that's true.
How far is Argentina from UK?
Like thousands of kilometers.
7,378 miles. Okay, let's say 7,400 miles, and they're doing that in 11 days. So how many hours is that?
11 days, 124.
So
No, I
11
can't do
times
that.
24 is
264.
264. Wait a minute, give me a second. Somebody figure this out.
Do the maths.
Calculator, there we go. So we've got 11 times
I don't
24
maths now.
is 264. Yep, definitely. There we go. It's 7,400 miles. Divide that by 264. 28 miles an hour. Is it 20? Is that right? That can't be right.
Yeah. If they're resting on the water, I think it's constantly over 11 days. That's all right. Does sound right. Because they do travel fast, and they do rest a lot on the water as well.
Yeah, multiply that by 264. Yeah, 7,000. Yeah, 28
Yeah.
miles an hour. So about they travel at 30 miles an hour to do that. But that'd be non-stop.
Yeah, so they the shearwaters are called shearwaters because if you watch them at sea flying, they have has a fun name, but basically they fly up, catch the wind, fly up, and then shoot down and kind of like right along the bottom of the wave, and it looks like their wings shearing the water. They almost touch, they just like rocket past, go up again, catch the wind, and then shoot down. So if you can watch them flying out at sea, they're just incredible to watch, as are all seabirds, but Maxwell is just so graceful.
So Barack Obama said on the Isle of Rum, a hill was named Trolloval by the Norse because after becoming alarmed on hearing the rumblings of trolls below their feet, it turned out to be manxes chatting in their burrows. That is so cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, there is a big Water colony on the Isle of Rum. It was very cool with the researchers I did some work with. They had this summer was the first time they've done a study plot on the colony, so lots of Max Water excitement up there. I love those kind of like not ancient, like human history and language and cultures all mixing with wildlife. I really love that. Trolls and those little Manxies. Cute. Yes, they travel always to Argentina, 11 days sometimes, and they return to the very same burrow year on year. Yes, they nest on small islands off the west coast of Britain, such as Skomer. And I think there are a few on the mainland, but burrow nesting birds like manx shearwaters, puffins, things like that, are really vulnerable to rats, especially. But land mammals and predators like stoats, ferrets, weasels, things like that. But rats are the big problem with biosecurity and things. So if you do visit Skoker and Ramsey, then there are very strict biosecurity protocols which you will follow. So it's things like you have to check your bags for rats. Like as you're packing them, make sure that you're attending your baggage as you're packing them. Make sure everything's sealed. So as you're moving between like where you packed and Skomer itself, that nothing jumps in. All our luggage and like construction materials, vehicles gets checked by like sniffer dogs and things. It's very strict as one pregnant rat landing on an island and things and not being found within 6 months would be 800 rats, which is a very scary thing to think about. And that would be just the end of your seabird population on the island.
That's a
Ooh,
cool thing that Bird Chris has just said.
I've heard before that the noises of manxies were evil nocturnal spirits that stole children. So the children were taught to run away from the noise, which sort of makes sense, as the manxies would be at cliff edges, not somewhere you want your kids wandering about at night. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I haven't got a video of this, but next week I'll bring one of the videos of just the sounds of a manx shearwater colony, because it is. You try to think of like a weird sound for a bird to make, and it's very weird in that. It's a very odd noise. But yeah, it gives ratbag a new meaning. But yes. Yeah, so biosecurity is very important with rats coming on, things like that. Yeah, so I'll go onto the next photo, chick, because they're adorable and very cute. So they, along with most other seabirds, raise only one chick. So puffins do this as well. They raise one chick each year, and they are extremely fluffy, very, very, very cute. And their down, which they get as a chick, smells amazing. And it's always a very weird thing when you tell people, like, you're going to go help weighing the chicks and things, give it a sniff because they smell amazing. And they do smell amazing. It does look very relaxed, barnacle gum. Yeah.
If you could describe the smell, what does it smell like?
Oh, it's like earthy, but almost like herbally as well. Earthy smell. It's hard, but it's like, yeah, really fragrant, earthy smell, which is really nice. Eau de shearwater. There's a gap in the market for that. But yes, I would help out with the chick weighing. So we had 2 master students from Oxford with the navigation research group coming out for about 3 months as well, whilst I was there. And they were weighing the manx shearwater chicks every day. I just had to help at least once a week. You just get to hold these tiny, adorable little fluffy chicks, which are really cute. But yes, so adults raise one chick each season, and the parents wait until the cover of darkness before heading out to fish. So as I said before, they're very vulnerable on land. Their feet are set really far back in their body, which is efficient for swimming and paddling, but means they can't walk on land. So they kind of shuffle along the ground, which makes very easy meals for ravens and gulls. So sometimes one would miss time at coming out in the day, get got by the gulls and the ravens. So you just have carcasses littered across the island. So I was lucky to come across one of the skulls. Shearwater chicks become so big that they're not even able to leave the nest, and instead must go on a diet before they can fledge. So it's about 70 days for a manx shearwater to fledge from hatching. They're very long process of growing up. So it's about 70 days incubation on the egg, and then 70 days after that raising as a chick. A really long time. And an adult weighs around 400 grams, and the chicks will go up to 400 and then just rocket right past 600, maybe 700, and maybe very tops 800 grams, but usually around 600 grams, so 1.5 times the weight of an adult. And then at that point, the adult will leave, so they'll just leave the chick in the burrow. They'll start their journey back to Argentina, and then over the next week or two, the chick will turn all that big fat blubber into like muscles, like the pectoral muscles, like feathers, adult feathers, all that stuff coming through. But yeah, it's just very cute how they're just too chunky to even leave their nest for a few weeks, even if they wanted to. They're just too heavy to fly. But they're very cute. You can kind of see in the picture, but again on the skull here, their bill is incredibly sharp. I'll put my hand behind there. So they have this really sharp bit on the front of their bill, which really hurts when they bite you. But also, it's very handy for digging. So that's what they'd help to dig up their burrows, so like their feet, and then also their bill. And they also use the sharp bit to climb up things. So especially the chicks, it's just hard to take flight. Again, they can't really run, so they can't like swans or geese, like they run across the water and then they gain flight. They just can't really do that. So they need to gain height to help them fledge. So like rocks, tall plants, tall sturdy plants, or even yourself. I'll put a photo on next week, but if you just sit amongst the colony, they'll just run towards you and just like use and like climb their way up to your head and then fly off from there, which is a very cool experience. Yeah, one of my most fond memories was just having the manxies climb onto sit in your head. But yes, they use that sharp bit on the end of their bill to climb all the way up. Tall things to get them some extra height to fly off. But yeah, that's my little. Oh, also, this is my species highlight, the Welsh for manx shearwaters, Adadyn Dreisin Manau, which I shall copy and paste to there, which translates to Manx storm bird. So like Manx is in Isle of Man, storm bird. So lots of these like petrels or like seabirds are called like storm birds. I think Fulmar has like lots of these other languages. I think like French, Dutch, and things will have like storm birds for like skewers, Fulmar, seabirds, things. Which is a very cool thing called like a storm bird.
Yeah.
But yes, Adadyn Dreisin Manau for Manx shearwater.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, another bird I've never seen.
Highly recommend. Definitely for your bucket list next year.
Bucket list is getting harder.
Yeah, it's getting long.
In Scottish Gaelic, it's scrab or scrabear.
Ooh, that's cool. Scrab.
Scrab, even. Scrab. Not scrab. Scrab. The G
Scrab.
instead of K. That's cool. Look at that. So tonight we've had manx shearwaters, puffins, voles, short-eared owls, a bit of smut fungus. Let's not forget the glowworm.
You get it all here, folks.
And lots of corvids. Look at that.
What a night.
Great night. So northern arrow stormbird is what it's called in Dutch.
Ones.
Yeah. So Noordzee. God, I can't even see that. Give me a second.
Pilstormvogel? Something.
Pilstormvogel. Yeah, Pilstormvogel. I'm going to say that the J is silent in its pill. Or peel. Pilstormvogel.
Yeah. Get Pookie's verdict of how butchered our pronunciation is. Vogel, yeah, it's a good word.
Beautiful selection. Clap, clap, says Barnacle. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So next week, I will have songbirds that I saw while I was away on holiday. A few other bits. So, let me have a look. Is it just songbirds? Oh no, there's a few other bits and bobs in there too. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 images for me next week.
Ooh.
So there we go, and that'll be my October holiday all done. P-I-L. P-I-L, yeah. Okay, so for the pill, it's P-I-L, P-I-L Stormvogel. P-I-L Stormvogel.
Stormvogel.
Cool.
What a cool word.
Thank you, Pookie. We've been applauded for our pronunciation.
Why, thank you. Learning a lot.
Alright, shall we move on to our news? News.
news.
Is it good
Yes.
news or is it bad news? Well, let's go and find out. I have got two that I'm going to talk about today.
Mm.
And the first one is nature in England at risk as amount of land effectively protected falls to 2.93%.
Way.
Yes, Barack Obama. Yikes is...
That's the correct response.
Yeah. So experts are calling for a rapid rescue package for nature to improve condition of protected sites. The amount of land that is effectively protected for nature in England has declined to just 2.93%, despite government promises to conserve 30% of it by 2030, new data reveals. Campaigners are calling for a rapid rescue package for UK nature as government delegates head to COP16, the International Nature Summit, which will take place from 21st of October to October in Colombia. They intend to ask other countries to stick to ambitious nature targets. The commitment to protect 30% of land for nature by 2030, sometimes called the 30 by 30 commitment, was made in 2020 by the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson, but according to a report by Wildlife and Countryside Link, WCL, the amount of land in England that can be said to be effectively protected for nature has fallen to just 2.93%, while the amount of sea protected is at 9.92%. The land figure is down from last year's update, which the WCL put at 3.11%, while 8% of sea in England was effectively protected for nature in 2023. So there's a rise there, which is a positive. Protecting land for nature means that there are clear boundaries and laws in place to ensure wildlife is not harmed or destroyed, and nature is not being depleted. While the government's initial assessment of land in England that could contribute to the 30 by 30 includes protected sites covering approximately 8.5% of England's land, this is inconsistent with their own draft 30 by 30 criteria, because many protected sites are not currently in favourable condition and therefore not delivering positive outcomes for biodiversity, this year's report says. I'll read the next couple of paragraphs as well, and then I'll stop there. The land figures falling owing to declines in quality of sites of special scientific interests, so SSSIs, which are changing because of the climate crisis, water pollution and overgrazing. National parks should be areas where land is in good condition, but previous reports show that nature within these sites is often no better than outside them. Currently, only designated nature sites such as SSSIs within national parks count as protected for nature, as the parks themselves are not specifically designed for nature, but for recreation, unique views, and other attributes. So there we go.
Wow.
So that is, it's quite scary. But when you think about land that's apparently held for nature, the stuff going on in the countryside right now, like you might see burnings happening up on moorland, which is obviously, that can be a SSSI sites, which is not good, and loads of other stuff like that happening out there. It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And to go from 2.93% to 30% of your countryside, or your country, it doesn't even have to be countryside, it can just be your country, the entire island, 30% of your island, in 5 years.
You're basically halfway through the 10-year period.
So you've gone backwards to now have to rapidly move forwards. And I'm waiting for the excuses to come and for our current government, which is long past the government that said they would achieve this. I'm waiting to hear, that wasn't one of our manifesto commitments. So that's what I'm waiting for. But don't worry. Here comes the rant. They have just announced £22 billion in technology for carbon capture, which will not do what they say it's going to do. because it hasn't worked anywhere that they have put it in place. Anywhere. When they could just literally do proper carbon capture, which is letting nature do the job. And spend that £22 billion. Are you listening to me, folks? Okay, and I'm saying this to our government. I know they won't watch, but I'm saying this to our government. Put that £22 billion into supporting nature recovery, and you will see the benefit. Right.
Yeah. It's a bit scary with, like, I'm currently looking for jobs in conservation. There is not much out there. So many organizations like Wildlife Trust, all these different things, they're struggling for money.
Yep.
And government organizations like NRW or Wales, they've cut 265 jobs a few weeks ago. 3 visitor centres are going to close. All these different projects are stopping. On Skomer, the long-term seal research project for 40 years has just been cut. The funding is like, no more funding.
Wow.
All these different places just completely losing their funding. And yeah, we got to do so much more. And they're like, hey, it's 22 billion for some nice technology, which might help.
It won't help.
It says it might look good.
Well, it's just it's putting the money in the pockets of oil industry, because it's the oil industry that's created this technology, and yeah, that's a great point, Barnacle. Remember, nature is healing during lockdown. Everyone admiring wildlife and pollution dropping. Nothing learnt from it whatsoever. You're completely right. Nothing was learnt from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been completely brushed under the carpet.
It has. Everything's back to normal. What it was before. But there we go. Anyway, I'm going to move on to my next news story, which is hopefully a bit more positive.
Everyone happy out there?
So this one is a truth or fiction one. Gardens can save our wildlife.
Hooray!
Can small isolated patches of habitat really offset the damage we are doing to our environment? Professor of Biodiversity and Conservation Kevin Gaston provides the answer. So being a gardener now, this is quite important to me. So if you want evidence for the importance of gardens for wildlife, just look at the Biodiversity in Urban Gardens in Sheffield, BUGS, project run by researchers from the University of Sheffield in the early 2000s. What they found was groundbreaking. 33 kilometres squared of potential wildlife habitat covering 23% of the city with an estimated 360,000 trees, more than 2 metre tall, 45,000 nest boxes, 25,000 ponds and 50,000 compost heaps. Is this the 2.90% they're talking about? Probably, Barnacle Bomb. Probably. In surveys in 61 of those gardens, the researchers identified 1,166 vascular plant species. The most biodiverse contained 248 alone. There was a rich profusion of invertebrates from a wide range of taxonomic groups, including bumblebees, hoverflies, beetles and spiders. But, says Professor Kevin Gaskin, previously the lead investigator on the BUGS project, now at the University of Exeter, you cannot compare the species richness of domestic gardens with that of ancient woodlands or extensive wetlands. Gardens will compare well with much of our farmland, which covers some 70% of the entire country, because this is a species poor with low abundance where it is intensively cultivated, Gaston points out. Gardens are not routinely going to be havens for species of high conservation concern, but that's not the relevant issue. A stronger argument is that given the amount of house building that is happening now and in the future, how can we make sure that those gardens are as good for wildlife as possible? The other things to think about is how gardens increase people's positive engagement with wildlife. Something that has come through in recent years is the health and well-being impacts of interacting with nature and the role gardens play in that. Wildlife gardening has benefits for householders that transcend the wildlife itself. But what should those who want to maximise the contribution of their garden to British biodiversity do? The simplest thing you can do is introduce more three-dimensional complexity, says Gasson. vegetation of different types and different forms. Everyone can contribute. That's the key message, Gasson concludes. So there we go. So I want to talk about those two because they kind of link. Because obviously there's what's classified as protected is dropping. But if we have gardens, we have the possibility, because fundamentally our gardens are our own little protected sites. And we might not be able to protect manx shearwaters, for example, because we're never going to get them in our gardens, although barnacle bomb might. But we can certainly help species that would commonly come into gardens, or we used to think would commonly come into gardens. Hedgehogs being a great example, like their numbers have plummeted massively. Foxes, badgers, all the different invertebrates that are out there that use gardens regularly, like different types of bumblebees that we've been talking about earlier this year, moths, butterflies, hoverflies, all those kind of things we can certainly have positive impacts on them. So yeah, there we go. Gardens can act as a wildlife corridor, says Barnacle Bomb. Yes, they can.
Yeah, because you have like an isolated nature reserve. Can only be so good, but if it's all connected up,
Yeah.
a lot better. And I really liked the bit in the article where it's like new houses being built. How can they be made to be biodiverse and things like that? With things like putting swift bricks with the nest swifts in like a new build. It's interesting and nice to see thought going into the new houses. Going to be lots of new houses being built, and they will need to be good for wildlife and biodiversity and things. So
Yeah, they will.
A solar panel on the top, swift bricks, a nature-friendly garden. Good things to be thinking about.
Indeed. Cool. Right. Well, they were mine.
Yeah.
Shall we finish on a more positive one?
Yeah.
Because I like your one. Because I was thinking about doing this, and I'm glad you chose it.
So shall I go for the photography one?
Wildlife Photographer of the Year 2024 winners in pictures.
Ooh.
Ta-da!
Not much of an article, but just some nice, thought-provoking pictures on wildlife, which I really like this competition.
This is the winner. This image here is the winner, isn't it? The swimming tadpoles.
It's a gorgeous picture.
It is stunning. I wonder how the photographer got them all swimming in the same direction. Or what's happening to make them all swim in the same direction.
Just stand at one end of the pond going pss, 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 pss.
Yeah. Food. So there's just food just out of shot. And they'll go, ooh.
But yeah, I really like this photography competition because it's not the happiest, most beautiful, stunning bird photo. It's some of them are like ones are like photojournalistic. So it's like one's telling proper stories in the human world, like all combining and thought provoking. Just really good photography. And if you're in the UK and in London, Natural History Museum, then these will be on display in an exhibition at the Natural History Museum starting this Friday. I don't know how long it goes on for, but I think it's a good few months, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it might. It'll be something that, like, if I was in London, I would most definitely be going to see this.
Yeah, I went a few years ago, and it's amazing because all these different news articles, you get like one or two sentences, but then in the actual exhibition, you get like a whole paragraph on each one about the person and the story with that picture, and you can appreciate the picture so much more just knowing its background and why it's important to the photographer and things like that. But yeah, it's a nice selection of photos for us to look at.
Yeah, so the main image, The Swarm of Life by Shane Gross, who was named Wildlife Photographer of the Year 2024. So there you go. Well done, cool. Shane Gross. What a shot. Fantastic. This one as well. I really like this one. Free as a Bird by Alberto Roman Gomez from Spain. The
Very
winner of the
nicely
10
done.
years and under category.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
It's not bad.
Contrasts a delicate stone-chat bird with a hefty chain, watching from the window of his father's car at the edge of Sierra de Grazalema Nature Park. Alberto found this young bird tricky to photograph. It was quickly flying back and forth, gathering insects. To Alberto, the stone-chat displayed a sense of ownership, as if it's were a young guardian overseeing its territory. Wow. What a
That's very
shot.
impressive.
Okay, moving on. This one. Life Under Deadwood by Alexis Tinker, the Savalis of Germany. The winner of the 15 to 17 years category rolled a log over to see the fruiting bodies of slime mold and tiny springtail.
Hairy wee beastie for the barnacle.
Alexis worked fast to take this photograph, as springtails can jump many times their body length in a split second. Use a technique called focus stacking, where 36 images, each with a different area and focus, are combined.
Yeah, with cat says just the detail on it.
Yeah.
It's really like the hairs and the patterns, the lighting and everything. Really lovely.
Moving on. Oh, look at it. Frontier of the Lynx by Igor Metelsky from Russia. The winner of the Animals in Their Environment category shows a lynx stretching in the early evening sunshine, its body mirroring the undulating wilderness. The remote location and changing weather conditions made access to the spot and transporting equipment there a challenge. Metelsky positioned his camera trap near the footprints of potential prey. It took more than 6 months of waiting to achieve this relaxed image of the elusive lynx. 6 months.
That must have felt amazing
Amazing
when they
when you
looked through
got
the
it.
pictures. I was like, oh, the effort put in.
What a shot.
Wow.
What a shot.
Stretch, says Barnacle.
Yeah. Nathan says light work.
Stretch.
Yeah. Amazing. The next one. Old Man of the Glen by Fortunato Gatto from Italy. The winner of the Plants and Fungi category focuses on a gnarled old birch tree adorned with pale old man's beard lichens. Gatto often visits the Glen Afric ancient pine woods alone to lose himself in its intricate, chaotic, timeless beauty. The pale old man's beard lichens indicate that it's an area of minimal air pollution. Analysis of pollen preserved in the layered sediments show that the forest has stood here for at least 8,300 years. And long may that continue.
That's amazing. 8,000 years.
Stunning. Ooh, here we go. Hope for the Nino by Janico Kelk from Australia. The winner of the Impact Award was a Ninu, with the wiregrass and shrubs behind it providing a frame against the darkness. Yannico, spent each morning walking the sand dunes of the conservation reserve, searching for footprints that this rabbit-sized, marsupial may have left the night before. Finding tracks near a burrow, he set up his camera trap. The greater bilby has many Aboriginal names, including Ninu. It was brought to near extinction through predation by introduced foxes and cats. Well done, Europeans.
Woohoo.
There we go.
It's a beautiful animal.
It's a stunning one, that, isn't it? What I find amazing on this is having used the camera trap, in the garden. Like the focus on these shots is just exceptional. I'm going to assume that their camera traps are far more sophisticated than mine, but still.
Yeah. I think with like the really fancy, you have like an infrared detector, and you like connected to your big fancy SLR camera,
Yeah.
so like it just knows when to take it with a really nice fancy camera, which is very cool.
Now I can see the top of the next image. Okay, and I have no idea what it is or what is going on, but it looks amazing. So I'm going to move on. Look at that. How
What
cool is
a cool
that?
picture.
That actually looks like a model.
It's
That
just the
is
framing like a
amazing.
painting. It's
The
really cool
Demolition
looking.
Squad by Ingo Arndt from Germany. This image documents the efficient dismemberment of a blue ground beetle by red wood ants. Full of ants is how Arndt described himself after lying next to the ant's nest for just a few minutes. Arndt
Oh my
watched as the
gosh.
red wood ants carved an already dead beetle into pieces, small enough to fit through the entrance to their nest. What a shot!
It's a really cool photo.
Looks like they're ready to stick a flag in him.
I claim this beetle.
That is exceptional. I hope you're watching, Nathan.
It's gonna be you next year. We're expecting big things.
Wow. I've got to say, did you see Nathan's gnat image?
Oh, it's beautiful.
You're right, Barnacle, and that is a perfect scene. I love the focus on it. Like the beetle's in
Mm.
perfect focus, and you've got the one ant that's trying to dismember that antler or that antennae, and all the others are just in the foreground and stuff, just slightly out of focus.
Just like a sea of ants.
So good. Moving on. Dolphins of the Forest by Thomas Pitchak. Blue ground beetle is a species I'd love to see. Yeah. The winner of the Photojournalist Story and Award shows the Amazon river dolphin, one of two freshwater dolphin species living in the Amazon and Orinoco basins. Piszczak documents the relationship between endangered Amazon river dolphins, also known as botos or pink river dolphins, and the people with whom they share their watery home. Traditional Amazonian beliefs hold that the dolphins can take on human form, and they're both revered and feared. Others see them as thieves who steal fish from the nets and should be killed. Now, this image for me is about the colours.
Mm.
You've got the top half being a lush green, the bottom half being that rusty red.
Yeah, like kind of like muted
Yeah.
kind of color.
And then the dolphin just in there.
Yeah, it's very rich.
Oof. Okay, this one's a tall image. So I'll show you it all. There we go. Which bit's the best bit? There we go. I'll put it there. So this is the Serengeti of the Sea by Sage Ono, US. The winner of the Rising Star Portfolio Award explores the abundant life around the giant kelp forests in Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Inspired by the stories told by his grandfather, a retired marine biologist, and by a photograph of a larval cusk eel, Ono acquired a compact underwater camera and decided to take up underwater photography. After university, he moved to the coast near the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary in California to pursue his interest. The submerged world of the base forests of giant kelp, the biggest of all seaweeds, and the diversity of life they contain have mostly captured his imagination. It's the bubbles. It's the purple bubbles. I'm
It's
going
very
to assume they're
artistic.
like eggs or something like that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
There you go. More links. More links. On Watch by John E. Marriott. The winner of the Animal Portraits category frames a lynx resting. It's more than one. It's three. With its
Hidden.
fully grown young sheltering from the cold wind behind it. Marriott has been tracking this family group for almost a week, wearing snowshoes and carrying light camera gear to make his way through snowy forests. When fresh tracks led him to the group, he kept his distance to make sure he didn't disturb them. With climate change reducing snow coverage, giving other predators more opportunities to hunt hares, hare populations may decline, in turn affecting the lynx population. I love the tufts on the end of their ears.
The little detail. Very nice.
Wetland Wrestle by Karine Aigner. Interesting. Winner of the Behaviour, Amphibians and Reptiles category, Aigner captures a yellow anaconda as it coils itself around the snout of a Yakir caiman. The tour group Aigner was leading had stopped to photograph some marsh deer when she noticed an odd shape floating in the water. Through binoculars, Aigner quickly recognised the reptiles and watched as they struggled with each other. Caimans are generalistic feeders and will eat snakes as anacondas get larger. They will include reptiles in their diet. It's hard to determine who is the aggressor here. On the snake's back are two tabanids, blood-sucking horseflies that are known to target reptiles. I was wondering what they were.
What a cool picture.
Yeah. So the reflections help with that one as well, don't they?
Yeah.
She managed to get quite low to the water with that. That's cool. Here you go. Swarm of
So
Life
cool.
by Shane Gross, Canada. The winning image looks under the surface layer of lily pads as a mass of western toed tadpoles swim past. Western toed tadpoles swim up from the safer depths of the lake, dodging predators and trying to reach the shallows, where they can feed. The tadpoles start becoming toads between 4 and 12 weeks after hatching. An estimated 99% will not survive to adulthood.
Oh, my goodness.
They end up eating each other. It's a
I guess
worthy
that's where
winner.
they're moving, just to the shallows.
Definitely a worthy winner.
It's a really cool picture.
Oh, look at that one. Tiger in Town by Robin Darius Cons from Germany. This image focuses on a tiger on an Indian hillside against the backdrop of a town where forests once grew. Cons was following this tiger as part of a documentary team filming the wildlife of the Western Ghats. On this day, he used a drone to watch the tiger explore its territory before it settled in this spot. The protected area is the Western Ghats, where tigers are carefully monitored, are some of the most biodiverse landscapes in India, and have a stable population of tigers. Now that's an animal I'd love to see in the wild.
That'd be incredible.
This is an interesting one. Recording by Hand by Luia Pawlowska. This image shows a relaxed common whitethroat gently being held by a bird ringer. Pawlowska is fascinated by bird ringing and has been photographing ringing sessions since she was 9. She says she hopes her photography helps others to get to know this topic better. Volunteers can assist trained staff at bird ringing sessions, where a bird's length, sex, condition, and age are recorded. Data collected helps scientists to monitor populations and track migratory patterns, aiding conservation efforts. It's the feather on the finger.
It's just that small little extra bit, which is really nice detail.
Very cool. Dusting for New Evidence by Britta Jasinski, Germany, UK. A crime scene investigator from London's Metropolitan Police dusting for prints on a confiscated tusk. Jasinski spent time at the Border Force Sites Department, CITES, where confiscated animal products are tested. Newly developed magnetic powder allows experts to obtain fingerprints from ivory up to 28 days after it was touched, increasing the chances of identifying those involved in its illegal trade. Look at
28
all the
days.
fingerprints coming up.
That's amazing. I didn't notice you can see all the like coats in the background as well.
Yeah.
From other furs and
Snake skin and stuff. Oh,
hairs.
wow.
Wow.
This one's quite A Diet of Deadly Plastic by Justin Gillingham. The image creates a mosaic from the 403 pieces of plastic found inside the digestive tract of a dead, flesh-footed shearwater. Gilligan has been documenting Adrift's lab's work for several years after joining them in a beach walks at dawn to collect dead chicks. The team brings together biologists from around the world to study the impact of plastic pollution on marine ecosystems. Studies found that 3/4 of the adult flesh-footed shearwaters breeding on Lord Howe Island and 100% of fledglings contained plastic.
It's incredible in the worst way, just how plastic is everywhere now.
Yeah.
Just everywhere.
There you go. So out of all of them, folks, which one's your favourite?
It's a tough choice.
It's only one for me. It's that
Is it
one.
the ant one?
Honestly, that is incredible.
I think for like the photo, definitely that one. That's
The link stretch,
awesome
says
photo.
Nathan.
Hmm.
None of them is as good as an Andy pick. Thank you, Burger Chris. Thank
You should
you.
just like slip your one in. It's like, one by Andy in UK.
Ant
There's
beetle
a
or
hooker
croc and
that I swear.
anaconda. Tadpoles are awesome, but beetle battle for the win.
Beetle battle.
So if we go through all of them again, so it was the link stretch. That is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the lighting in that one as well. It's just amazing.
Hmm.
I've seen that one already. Yeah, the croc anaconda one. But yeah, I think that's just
That ant one is just amazing.
oof. I might have to go to the National History Museum, folks. Okay, in London. They'll be on show from, was it tomorrow?
From Friday,
Friday.
11th.
Friday.
For imagine at least a few months, I guess.
Hope so.
It'll be way more than these. I think this would be like
Yeah.
a fifth maybe of the pictures there. So there's loads of them.
I wonder how big the images are.
If it was the same as when I went a few years ago, each like a good size, like a
Good A3. A2, A3.
yeah, like a good A3 kind of size. And like below it, all the nice details.
And could you pick up prints of them as well?
I think they had like calendars, and I think there are.
I'd buy a calendar.
Yeah.
I'd definitely buy a calendar.
Hmm.
Yeah, amazing.
Until 29th of June next year, so plenty of time.
Plenty of time to go see it. Fantastic. Someday my prince will come. Right. Well, I think that's it, folks.
Shot past.
Yeah. Shot past. It's almost 2 hours. Almost 2 hours. Look at that. Well, how does it feel to be back?
Feels weird to be back in civilization. But like, whoa, there's cars and people everywhere. So,
You haven't seen a car for 3 months.
no, I'd seen them because I had to pick up a shop.
Okay.
But we had like a delivery to the store, so I'd like seen a few cars. Being in a car and like, what? This is weird.
Why am I travelling so fast? This isn't real.
Gone so far, like whoa. They're just going around in an island for 3 months.
That's cool. So next week you're back again.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I will be here also, and hopefully Kat will be feeling better, and we'll have her on as well, and we can talk more about Skomer, which would be great. Looking forward to that. Autumnal migrants.
Mm-hmm. And more.
And more. I'll be back with some more of my stuff from Pembrokeshire. And I also visited Bath, so I'll show a little bit from that as well. Got a great picture from Bath. And then looking forward to seeing what Kat has been out looking for. If she gets a chance. If she's got a chance. If not, it's fine. Just be great to have her here. Talking cool things. Yeah. So, I think that's it from us. Any final words, Nick? Any final words?
I hope everyone has a lovely week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one more thing. Burger Chris, red-throated diver at Frampton. What are you doing to me, man? I've got decorating to do. Oh, Cat's hoping fungi. That would be brilliant. Final words,
yeah.
terminal.
Thank you, Betty Chris.
Yes, Pookie, thank you for reminding us. There is a fungi folder on Discord. There's been lots of fantastic images of fungi going into that. Please keep them coming. We're hoping end of this month, beginning of next, we will be pulling together loads and loads of images and doing a fungi focus day, which would be great. And
That
only
would be
hung
fun.
around for 30 minutes. That's good. That means I don't have to jump in a car and drive off to you this weekend. That means I can actually... Don't! Stop it! He's saying Firecrest at Feaston! Stop it!
Oh, Betty Chris is taunting
He
you.
taunts me every week. And whenever I go, it's like, no, I don't see all the cool stuff.
Yeah, they all flew off, yeah.
They go, Andy's coming, let's go this way.
Run!
I did get to see the lesser yellow leg when it was there, though, which was great.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a cool one.
That was amazing. And I got a picture of that. It's a blur. It's a proper Andy pic.
Andy pick.
No, I don't. I've missed mentioning all sorts of things over the past 6 weeks or so. That's very kind of you, Burger Chris. Thank you.
For your own health and safety.
For my own health and safety, otherwise I'd be in the car all the time. Oh, brilliant. Right. We will see you all next week, folks. Thank you so much. There was a Drake surf scooter by me, but I unfortunately missed it. Oh. There's a hoopoo in Swansea right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I drove right past it.
Oh no.
I was like, will I? Because I saw it. So I was in Solva, just round the corner from St David's.
Mm.
You have to drive past Swansea to get there, and it must have come in on the third. So I went there on the Tuesday, and it must have landed on the third. I think it was a Thursday. It landed when it was first sighted, and it was so obliging. It was literally it was coming within 4 feet of the photographers. Just
Oh my god.
grasses. The videos were amazing, and there's images from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then I didn't see anything on Sunday, and I was like, all right, it's probably left now because of the weather.
Mm.
And then I get home on Monday, and there's images again, and I'm like, oh,
Back.
damn it, I could have gone to see a hopu. But there we
Next
go.
year.
It'll happen at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, we'll finish it there. We will see you next Wednesday at 7:30 again. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep those images of fungi and all your wildlife encounters coming on Discord. I will post the link now if you're not a...
Oh, Pookie got a Eurasian eagle owl in the downtown.
Oh my
So many cool
word.
birds around.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's just go.
It's too late.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you later on.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.